You wake up in the dark on a reed mat, shoulder to shoulder with 9 other men. Your hands are already aching. They ache before you're even awake now. Somewhere outside, an overseer is shouting a name. Not yours just yet. 4,500 years before you were born, this was an ordinary morning. And by the end of it, you and your crew will have moved stones heavier than a car, with ropes, wet sand, and your own backs. Here's what almost everyone gets wrong about the pyramids. The people who built them were not who you think they were. By the end of this, you'll know who they actually were and where they ended up. The village at the edge of forever. You don't live in a slave camp. That's the first surprise. You live in a purpose-built workers' town in the shadow of the plateau. Mud brick dormitories, bakeries, breweries, a fish processing yard. Archaeologists found it. They found the bread molds. They found enough cattle, sheep, and goat bones to feed thousands of men meat regularly. Expensive food. Food for workers somebody valued. You were a farmer, most likely. When the Nile floods and drowns your fields for months, the state calls men like you in rotating shifts. You owe labor the way people today owe taxes. So you came downriver, and you were sorted into a gang. And your gang has a name. Workers scrawled them on the stones where no one was ever meant to see. Friends of Khufu, drunkards of Menkaura. 2,000 men to a gang, split into crews, split again into teams of 10. You know your 10 men the way soldiers know a squad. But that name on the stone, that's not just graffiti. Remember it, it matters later. The stone breakfast is bread and beer. Beer is at every meal. Thick, sour, more like liquid porridge than anything you'd order today. It's your calories and it's your paycheck. Then you climb. Your team's job today is what it was yesterday. Move a block of limestone about as heavy as a pickup truck, from the quarry to the ramp. It sits on a wooden sled. There are no wheels here. Wheels are useless in sand. Instead, a man walks ahead of the sled and pours water on the ground. It sounds like ritual. It isn't. Wet sand stiffens, and the sled glides instead of digging in. Modern physicists tested it. It can cut the pulling force nearly in half. Your crew figured that out with no equations at all. You pull. The rope bites into old blisters. Someone sets the rhythm. A chant, a grunt, a count. The pyramid above you is climbing toward the sun. One course of stone at a time. And somewhere on it, at this pace, a block is being set every few minutes. All day. For 20 years. How the blocks climb the pyramid itself. Straight ramp, spiral ramp, something stranger. Historians still argue about. You wouldn't care. Your world is this rope. These 10 men. This stone. The body keeps the score. By afternoon, the heat is a physical weight. Your spine knows this job. Skeletons from the workers' cemetery show it plainly. Compressed vertebrae, arthritic joints, bodies worn like old tools, and broken bones, healed. Set straight, splinted, recovered. Some workers show amputations that healed cleanly too. That detail is quiet, but it's enormous. It means there were doctors here. It means when a stone crushed your friend's hand, someone treated him. The state wanted its workers alive and mended. A man in your crew goes down anyway. Heat maybe. You carry him to the shade, pour beer on his lips, and you cover his shift. Tomorrow, he'd do it for you. 10 men, 1 rope. When the light dies, you eat bread, onions, fish, sometimes beef, and you sleep in a room full of snoring strangers who are no longer strangers. The thing everyone gets wrong. For centuries, the story was slaves, whips, chains, misery on an industrial scale. Hollywood loved it. Then, in 1990, a tourist's horse stumbled near the pyramids, straight into a buried wall. Under it, a cemetery. The pyramid builders' own tombs, sitting in the shadow of the kings. Slaves don't get that. These men were buried with jars of beer and bread for the afterlife, in tombs built for eternity. Some with inscriptions calling on the king's protection. In Egypt, being buried beside your pharaoh was being buried beside a god. It was an honor most Egyptians could only dream of. They weren't property. They were farmers, bakers, haulers. medics, proud enough of the work to carve their team's name into the stones like signing it. The pharaoh got the pyramid, but the builders got something too. Their names, their tombs, their place beside a god. And it turns out, the last laugh. Khufu's mummy has never been found. The workers' bones are still there, right where their friends laid them, still telling their story 4,500 years later. We remember kings, but the desert remembered the crew. If you want more days inside, lives history forgot, the next one's already waiting.